私が恋人になれるわけないじゃん。無理無理。無理じゃなかった。
After all the drama from the previous episode, we now find ourselves in a little peek into the future. The two dear friends are returning home from their fruitful adventure together, and Ajisai couldn't be happier about how things turned out. Teasing things like hot springs and table tennis, Ajisai feels very grateful to Renako for sticking by her in this part of her life. Giving the sleeping Renako a pat on the head, Ajisai thinks to herself about how she really wants to pay Renako back for everything she's done. In timely Renako fashion, her sleeping body starts to lean into Ajisai, their heads now touching. For a moment, Ajisai contemplates holding hands with the girl beside her, but ultimately she doesn't.
We'll always be friends, no matter what.
Ajisai silently resolves herself to do her best to be what Renako wants her to be, a friend now and forever. With this, the friends make their way home, having experienced a very enjoyable summer filled with all sorts of memories.
私が恋人になれるわけないじゃん。無理無理。無理じゃなかった。
Looking back, the first time Renako met Ajisai was after the high school enrollment ceremony. Renako had run into her in the train station near school and noticed she was lacking an umbrella. Like a smooth criminal, Renako nonchalantly offers to walk to school together, leading to Ajisai glowing with appreciation as they go on to do a typical rom-com classic. The two girls also ended up sitting right next to each other in class, which led to them becoming friends rather quickly. At that point, Ajisai had turned into a symbol of yearning for Renako. A fluffy and cute individual with a warm, friendly personality, the realization made Renako think if she was the only one in school who wasn't an angel from heaven. Spending even more time around Ajisai, Renako came to know just how special she truly was. Take, for example, the one time they had to pair up for gym class. In Renako's introverted despair, it was Ajisai who descended upon her to grant her salvation. It was then that Renako decided to value Ajisai highly from that moment on. Perhaps she was even a samurai in her previous life, one that would have served a princess just like Ajisai. It was thanks to Ajisai that Renako could overcome a lot of the challenges of high school despite her dark past. That's why Renako is resolved to protect her friend with everything she's got. Making small talk in the train, Ajisai comments on how empty the train they're riding is. Considering their situation, it seems to Renako that Ajisai already has a destination in mind. And sure enough, Ajisai begins talking about all the travel she looks at in her spare time. She looks at them, planning out her hypothetical solo journeys. She even fantasizes about what to do during the trip, such as what books she could read during the trip. Hearing Ajisai so casually mention her fantasies, Renako is in awe of the normie behavior she could never emulate. Following along, Renako asks about the duration of the train they're riding now, with Ajisai answering it's about 2.5 hours. Renako is ecstatic about this, knowing they could just peruse their phones and be at their destination in no time. A situation Ajisai is also happy about, considering they're together. Seeing how happy she is, Renako thinks to herself how much wider the smile on Ajisai is getting the further they get from their hometown. She thinks for a second that it may just be her being considerate of her new company, but such bad thoughts are bad to have. Also, looking back, Renako's way of joining this trip was quite forceful. Maybe, just maybe, there's a chance that Ajisai actually just really wanted to go on a trip all by herself. Renako starts to imagine a horrid future. After getting back from their trip, Ajisai starts ranting passively aggressively about how boring Renako's company was. Whatever the case may be though, what matters is Ajisai's safety. Renako is fine with being hated if that's what it takes. Still, the possibility of Ajisai hating her and no longer hanging out with her is a little bit bothersome. So naturally, Renako lets go of her strongest move for the situation, the weather deck. Although just as quickly as she starts, she very quickly realizes the folly of her actions. Renako is at a loss. Does she cut her losses and continue asking about the temperature next?
No! Stop! This is gonna be a conversational disaster.
Thankfully, the train they're in reached their destination, giving Renako the opportunity to excuse herself to the restroom. As Renako runs away in shame and panic, Ajisai sees her off with her usual angelic smile and aura. Slamming the stall door shut, Renako covers her face with her hands in utter shame. She has no idea what the hell to talk about with the very girl she swore to protect. Regaining her bearings, she tries to think back on what exactly her goal right now is. Protection may be important, but one other goal she has to fulfill is making sure Ajisai has fun. With that in mind, Renako starts to envision the happy conclusion of their trip if she were to succeed, and this finally gets her to start giggling like the weirdo she usually is. She lays out the plan. Renako will be utilizing my skill of bringing up a variety of subjects, Satsuki's intellectual thoughts, and Kaho's ability to mix in jokes. The perfect girl strategy, all that would be left of her, is to make sure she does enough not to make Ajisai bored. There's only one problem. There's no way she can do all of that. In the end, Renako resolves to just make sure Ajisai gets home safely after all this is done. Wiping the sweat from her forehead, she also decides to believe in the purity of Ajisai's soul, and in the future that she won't end up hating her. However, this also gets Renako thinking about the opposite possibilities. Considering how considerate Ajisai is, it's likely that she'll come to harbor guilt for dragging Renako along with her. All this gets Renako in a panic attack for the ages as she starts forcing herself to be a god of fun. But even that has a limit as Renako falls back on friendship for support, specifically help from the intellectual Satsuki. Her immediate reply even has Renako glowing at the joy of friendship. She proceeds to explain her situation to her new ally, hoping to get a straight solution for her problems. Unfortunately, Satsuki suddenly stops replying, leading Renako's fear of abandonment to go full throttle. How could she have done this? Renako can't believe she'd abandon her like this, considering all the kissing they've been through. A sleazy woman just after her body, that's the thought going through Renako's pea-sized brain. Thinking all hope is lost in the Satsuki front, she considers asking Mai for help. But Mai has been pretty busy recently, and thinking back to the many other moments Mai came running over, Renako feels her body may come into danger if she were to seek help from the blonde predator. How about Kaho then? She'd surely hear her out, right? Well, Renako just has no idea about that. She has no real knowledge about Kaho as a person, and even her imaginary persona in her head is one note. With that, Renako loses hope, banging her head against the door while thinking about how powerless she really is. That is, until her phone rings with a new message. As it turns out, Satsuki just took a while to reply, for good reason too, as she sent over some highly detailed friend notes. Renako can hardly believe it. She proceeds to explode with joy as she bombards Satsuki with thanks over messages. Meanwhile, Satsuki can only act as a tsundere on the other end. Now looking over the notes Satsuki sent, Renako thinks it's surprisingly normal, given how Satsuki usually is. The tips don't end there though, as Satsuki follows up with a warning. All humans are garbage, Ajisai included. At first, Renako is defensive, unable to believe such a pure angel is in any way a bad person like them. When faced with her bad side, will Renako be able to look at her the same way? For Renako, the answer seems easy, but as Satsuki proclaims, it's impossible to love everything about a person. This deep philosophy leaves Renako in a bit of silence as Satsuki follows up with more words of caution, which leads her to finally accept the truth. Looking back at her relationship with Mai and Satsuki, Renako does see the point being made about good and bad sides, as even angels such as them have it. So it's only natural to assume that even someone as great as Ajisai is the same. Whatever the case, Renako goes ahead and reunites with the cute angel. Somehow, all her earlier thoughts of worry are washed away with just one smile from Ajisai. Maybe Ajisai is as perfect as she thinks after all. Now armed with new conversation topics, Renako also moves with renewed vigor, or at least she should be. As the two of them walk along, Renako can't seem to find an opening to bring up any sort of topic. Crying to the imaginary Satsuki in her head, Renako unfortunately lacks any sort of charm to execute the brilliant notes she was given. But as they move to enter another train, Renako becomes curious as to what their destination actually is. This gets a giggle out of the leading Ajisai. All of a sudden, Renako is given a question by the jolly runaway.
The place I've always wanted to go to. Where would it be?
Renako, being ignorant, mentions a mainstream theme park. Thankfully, Ajisai follows up with a hint, a place of relaxation. For a moment, Renako supposes it's Kyoto. With a smile of success, she even answers temple, but it seems even that is wrong. Ajisai then steps into the train, making a grand princess reveal.
The hot springs!
As Renako hears the glorious answer, she's grabbed by the arms into the train they're boarding. Being as responsible as ever, Ajisai leads the way to their designated seats as Renako follows along, almost drooling. Inside her head, Renako is now having doubts after learning the hot springs flavored truth. The reality of running away from home is finally settling on Renako's mind. With this express train, the two of them would be out of Tokyo in a heartbeat. Suddenly, as if tempted by an angel, a line pops into her head.
Will you come to heaven with me?
Faced with the temptation, Renako is scared, but she does what she can to steel herself as she remembers all that matters right now. She has to return the favor to the girl in front of her. Plopping Ajisai onto her seat, Renako awkwardly tells her that today is her day. Surprised by the princess treatment, a smile forms on Ajisai's lips as she gives Renako a big fat thank you. It was a critical hit too for the awkward girl. Sitting down on her own seat, Renako burns red at the cuteness she just witnessed. Doing what any other person would, she even starts fumbling through her bag, searching for whatever she needs. Meanwhile, looking out the window, Ajisai is monologuing about how it's been a while since she's had a chance to take the window seat. Muttering under her breath, it's something she's always meant to do. Renako can only look over at the now mysterious-looking Ajisai. Suddenly, Ajisai turns around to ask Renako what she thinks, to which she obviously has no answer. But faced with a smiling face, Renako simply mutters in agreement. Somewhere above the sky, an upbeat Kaho is cheering for Renako's success.
私が恋人になれるわけないじゃん。無理無理。無理じゃなかった。
After taking their seats on the train to Hot Spring Heaven, Renako finds herself suffering in awkward silence as Ajisai continues to aura farm with her gaze out the window. Thankfully, Renako remembers she's come equipped with Satsuki's gift of topics from earlier. Starting off, she asks Ajisai a simple question about where she'd want to go if she could go anywhere. Hearing this, Ajisai asks for clarification if it could be a fantasy setting. Something like Alice in Wonderland. Shockingly though, Renako has no idea if such rules are in place. It was a topic from Satsuki after all. It seems that the initially simple topic has become quite complicated in the hands of a clumsy introvert. But salvaging the wreck with her divine grace, Ajisai starts talking about wanting to see a Western castle, even bringing up specific ones that Renako can't even pronounce. Not knowing what else to say, she refers to video game castles as she waves off the ghost of Satsuki's disappointment. Thankfully, Ajisai doesn't seem to mind as she goes and talks about another place she really wants to visit, Komiket. Understandably, Renako is shocked by the mention of the otaku haven. While she is an avid gamer, Renako is somewhat low-level in the ways of anime and manga. Nevertheless, if Ajisai has an interest in such, then she's ready to go all in with it too. A fluffy image of the two of them bonding over similar interests decorates Renako's mind. Now more than ever, Renako's feeling mighty grateful for the path revealed with the help of Satsuki's topic guide. Pushing through with the subject, Renako starts to inquire about Ajisai's particular otaku interests. Answering with a smile, Ajisai starts talking about cosplayers and how much she wants to see one in real life. Hilariously, this reveals how Ajisai is not actually an otaku herself, leading to sweat beating down Renako's face, considering the trap she narrowly just avoided. Not that Ajisai would mind even if she did reveal her otaku nature. Despite what she said though, Ajisai mentions how she can't actually go this year as she is quite busy. With her imagination starting to run wild, Renako expresses her own interest in seeing Ajisai cosplay. Adorably, Ajisai bashfully replies realize that cosplay is only done by people who like the character. But thinking about it some more, Ajisai expresses her interest in dressing up as one of those magical girls from morning anime. This gets Renako thinking about the possible shunin and Kamen Rider shows Ajisai watches when she's with her younger brothers. Naturally, considering magical girl anime comes up after those, Ajisai probably watches some as well. Continuing this line of thought, Renako realizes something she was totally missing the entire time.
Ajisai in a magical girl cosplay? That'd be crazy cute!
With her imagination running wild, she starts desperately wanting that dream to be a reality. While she's off dreaming, Ajisai continues to talk about the specifics of her magical girl journey. A cute person talking about a cute topic, Renako is starting to feel super thankful for this runaway trip. Traveling together with her dear, angelic friend, there's nothing else in the world she'd rather be doing. Flash forward, Renako wakes up from her not-so-angelic nap as they reach their destination. She apologizes to Ajisai as she wipes the drool away from her face, a fact Ajisai doesn't mind as she slept a bit as well. As the two begin to walk around the town they've arrived in, Renako is unable to contain a certain feeling building up inside her.
This place is pretty deserted, huh?
Like lightning in the desert, Ajisai suddenly hits Renako with exactly what she was thinking. Looking around, a familiar scent also hits Renako's nose, the scent of the lake. Reminiscent of the time she went to Odaiba with Mai, it gets Renako contemplating this journey she's on right now with a different girl. Breaking away from her deep thoughts, she asks Ajisai if they're close to their destination. Ajisai explains how she wanted to stay over at an onsen inn, but it's also close to lunchtime, so they should find some place to eat at too. In the end, they settle down in a udon joint. Taking the conversational opportunity, Renako asks Ajisai if she likes udon, to which Ajisai answers yes. Ajisai also proceeds to talk about how awkward it is to eat at a place like this all alone, which Renako agrees with, except she doesn't. It was a blatant lie, as an introvert such as her enjoys eating out alone. The ghost of Satsuki's disappointment starts to judge her, and Renako defends herself by saying it was only a go-with-the-flow type response. Making a compromise, Renako tells Ajisai about her habit of going to ramen shops all alone. Naturally, Ajisai finds this cool, even adding how this would mean she could go anywhere as long as she's by Renako's side. Hearing this though, Renako can't help but suffer from her irrational insecurity. Eventually, the udon arrives at their table, prompting Ajisai to, very attractively, tie her hair up. Renako isn't about to miss out on that view. Awkwardly, she pushes through the before-meal routine, and the two end up enjoying the food while Renako starts to think about how nervous she feels at the moment sharing her time with Ajisai. With her cute look, Ajisai looks over at Renako's troubled face, thinking she wants a taste of her noodles. Renako embarrassingly apologizes for the mishap, which Ajisai can't help but find funny. Laughing to herself, Renako is realizing how creepy she's starting to act. Slurping her noodles with worry, she starts thinking about what possible moves she can bring out from Satsuki's guide to salvage the situation. Taking a look at the options, Renako realizes how many topics she's eaten through in just half a day. Whatever the case, she finds a good one involving future dreams. A perfect topic with a non-creepy sense of distance, Renako can't help but suddenly desire Satsuki as a woman. And so, she fires the question to the cutie beside her. Unfortunately, it's a critical miss as Ajisai comments on how difficult the question is. Thinking about it a bit, Renako also can't help but agree. Bouncing the question back at Renako, the reality becomes even clearer. Renako actually wants to live a life of complete introversion. Instead, she can only tell a half-as-sad story about just playing games and eating food all day. To give it a productive coding, Renako also relates it to the life of modern-day streamers. Ajisai, being Ajisai, approves of her streaming dream wholeheartedly. This leads Renako to contemplate how this would be a life-altering event if only she were a bit more naive. Now taking her time to be bashful, Renako admits times have changed and her goals include doing a lot more things in life. All this talk makes Ajisai realize how fun talking about dreams is. With this, she continues sharing about her desire to open a confectionery shop before, and her other dream about just wanting to be a cool adult. She starts vividly describing how mysterious and cool that would be, and Renako starts gawking at the idealized adult Ajisai in her mind. But looking at her bowl of noodles, Ajisai contemplates how she actually hasn't gotten any closer to that dream, being the same person she's been for a while. She expresses her desire to become more adult-like, someone who's nice, someone who acts with courage. Thinking about it, it's all still so far in the future. I mean, even taking a look at the current situation right now, Ajisai is running away from home after getting angry at her brothers, a very non-adult way of handling things. Yet Renako tries her best robotic response to defend her actions. This garners thanks from the angel, letting Renako know she's grateful for the compliments despite her uselessness. The statement makes Renako pause. If Ajisai is useless, what is she? Renako starts to lay out all the times Ajisai did the same for her despite her own utter uselessness. She even mentions all her bad qualities, but Ajisai simply takes it more as a flex, showing how aware Renako is of her own pace. This continues, with Ajisai finding the bright side in every one of Renako's clear showings of being a useless worm. No matter what Renako says, Ajisai only hits back with a glowing compliment. Renako is starting to think some evil Ajisai wouldn't be so bad. In fact, she outright asks for an insult from Ajisai, like a true masochist. Ajisai gets curious why she asks such a thing, and Renako continues to say how she should say every little insult and negative thing she has throughout the day. Ajisai finds this demand pretty impossible. Meanwhile, Renako starts to sweat at the multiple hurtful possibilities that start showing up in her mind. However, what comes out of Ajisai's mouth is something Renako could have never expected.
Renajan, you're always so nice to everyone, huh?
She calls out the sleazebag for who she is, though it flies right over Renako's head as she can't believe Miss Niceness Incarnate is the one telling her that. After sharing that deep conversation, time flashes forward to the next scene where the two friends find themselves walking along a scenic route through the town. Fitting in with the mood, Renako starts reflecting on how her perception of Ajisai has changed just a little bit after seeing her self-deprecating side. She can't help but want to cheer her up, but doesn't know how. Suddenly, taking a dramatic pause by the railing, Ajisai talks about how she's actually been to this town before, as one of her relatives runs a guest house in the area. With this information, Renako starts assuming they're headed to that very place. Ajisai then contemplates how the place they're at seems empty only because of how they live in Tokyo.
This calmness, it isn't so bad.
She calls back to their conversation earlier about looking at travel sites. Despite her decision to run away from home, this town was still the first place she thought of. In the end, despite her love for travel, Ajisai can only go to a place she already knew of prior. Looking at the angel before her, Renako can't help but see a melancholic girl in her stead. Slowly, what she must do starts to form in her mind. Renako takes the hand of the sad girl. Much to her surprise, she then starts to make a suggestion. Showing her phone, she reveals another ryokan nearby that she looked up. She tells Ajisai that while they could just stay at the same place she's been to before, it'd be better if they stayed somewhere fresh with just the two of them. With positivity in her face, Renako tries her best to persuade Ajisai over to this new path. Even while burdened with her visions of insecurity, she can only steel herself for what may come.
You can go wherever you want and make any choice you want. If you feel anxious by yourself, then I'll be with you.
The declaration has Ajisai looking like she's fallen in love. Hilariously, Renako is unable to keep up her prince-like facade, slowly breaking into awkwardness. Fortunately, as Ajisai points out, they're right next to the very ryokan Renako had looked up, but unfortunately, it seems to be shut down at the moment. The unlucky mishap has Renako red in her ears in embarrassment. Ajisai is feeling better though, as she lets out a chuckle at the funny development while also taking charge of leading the way, a decision Renako is very much in favor of. With responsibility being freed away from Renako's grasp, she wipes the sweat away from her forehead in relief. It's not over though, as Ajisai quietly gives Renako her thanks, causing redness to once again sprout on her face. Taking note of the fact they're holding hands, it seems things are just a little bit warmer than they were previously between the two friends. Giving a wink of utter cuteness, magical girl Ajisai graces us with her presence.
私が恋人になれるわけないじゃん。無理無理。無理じゃなかった。
After walking around, the two finally arrive in an operational ryokan. But now that they're here, Renako is worried that they won't accommodate a pair of high schoolers. Thankfully, Ajisai's face shows no such fear as she volunteers to clarify with the staff. Staying on the sideline, Renako can only cheer her friend on as she makes use of her maxed-out charisma stat. But to her surprise, things develop pretty normally as they're allowed to stay over. Still glowing with charisma, Ajisai comes back with the key in hand for their soon-to-be room. Afterwards, as the staff lady leads them to their room, she bombards the duo with hospitality chatter that doesn't help much with Renako's low sociability. Finally, Renako is face-to-face with the fabulous room she is to share with her angelic companion. While Renako is busy being amazed, however, Ajisai has finished up exercising her charisma on the kind granny, much to Renako's amazement. She also comments on how great it is that the two of them will be sharing this big room all to themselves. But first things first, turn the air conditioning on. Now it's a room truly perfect for relaxing. What's more, just watching Ajisai casually walk around saying voice lines is doing wonders for Renako's relaxation. Just as she starts having borderline illegal delusions, though, Ajisai cuts in to show her that the room has free yukatas available. Very excited about the opportunity, Ajisai quickly suggests they put them on. Being handed hers, Renako starts to think about how she's still sweaty from the walk this morning. But now isn't the time for such thoughts. The reality finally clicks inside Renako's mind like a bolt of lightning. Ajisai will be wearing a yukata. Right now, Renako is fearing for her life because of this development. Is she going to be able to survive this intense situation? With no care in the world, Ajisai even starts undressing right where she is, causing Renako to turn in a hurried panic. Getting the memo, Ajisai decides to go to another room to change, saving her angelic form for later. Or is she? Looking back at Renako, she seductively says,
No peeking, okay?
This makes Renako scream like a scared little girl. Left alone, Renako can only imagine what's going on in the room right next to her. Hearing clothes being moved around, she vividly tries to imagine the angel Ajisai undressing to put on her yukata. Reaching her breaking point, Renako explodes right into her own undressing. Just like that, Renako is wearing her yukata, wondering just how long it's been since she last did the same. Looking at the mirror, she also contemplates a change of hairstyle to go with the outfit change. But none of that matters. What's really important is just about to come as Ajisai finally signals she's ready.
This yukata feels great.
Renako is euphoric at the sight before her. Taking in every last inch, Renako starts to admire just how amazingly beautiful Ajisai is in her new change of clothes. Dangerously so. Adding spice to the situation, Ajisai throws a compliment towards Renako's way, even showing excitement at their now matching attire. Renako couldn't be any happier with the situation. Still entranced, Renako is also keeping note of how the fabric flutters around as Ajisai moves around. So lewdly exposed, the fabric is even hugging her chest. The prospect of living together under the same roof while in yukata is like a married couple's life. This is no good for her sweatiness, considering she's just worn fresh clothes. She can only answer in a panic as Ajisai tries to get a conversation rolling. After a while, the two of them find themselves sitting around the table, lounging. But for Renako, this situation is anything but relaxing. That's because she's doing nothing but staring at her friend sexually, and she must not find out about it. But wait, what does that even mean? There's no way Renako should be doing that. There's no way she is doing it. She's just a friend, and there's no way she can have a lover. Thinking about it, Renako is reminded of the boys in class who discuss who they like most. It'd always revolve around her group, may it be Mai or Ajisai. Right now, Renako is pretty much in their shoes, thinking to herself like a lewd uncle. Ajisai is an angel, looking at her like that must be forbidden. Ajisai is the light, the way, and the life. But suddenly, said light starts talking about reserving the hot spring nearby, a plan Renako accepts with an empty head. After a pause, she starts to realize the folly of her actions. She decides to clarify with Ajisai directly. Does this mean the two of them will be the only ones inside said hot spring? Does that mean Renako will be with no one else, naked in a hot spring bath with just Ajisai? That can't be. That's just way too dangerous. Not that Renako has ever thought of Ajisai sexually or shared a bath with both Satsuki and Mai. It's just simply something she should never do with the angel Ajisai. Starting to laugh hysterically in an attempt to make an excuse, she explains she doesn't want to be seen naked, reinforcing that it has nothing to do with the angelic bombshell going with her. Naturally, this still greatly disappoints Ajisai, but Renako pushes through with the experience she developed as a career failure. In her mind, Renako starts imagining what would happen if Ajisai were to use brute force to persuade her. Alas, even if she had folded to both Satsuki and Mai, she should not under any circumstances do the same with Ajisai. Finding something else they could do, Ajisai then suggests a ping-pong match together, to which Renako accepts, albeit admitting weakness in the game. But all of a sudden, Ajisai stands from her seat. Moving over closer, she sits next to Renako with something important to say. Sure enough, Ajisai starts to say how she has something important to say, making Renako's heart thump louder. Renako starts imagining all the possible serious topics she could be bringing up, scared of how she would reply to certain employment decisions. But just as she was worrying, Ajisai started to talk.
We gotta talk about money.
Blunt and to the point, Renako is surprised by the sudden mention of this. Nevertheless, Ajisai continues to explain the situation they are in. Renako joined her, and as a result, has spent quite a bit of money. Because of this, she wants to pay her back every last bit they spent throughout the day. In response, Renako happily says how she's here because she wants to be, and that it's okay. Of course, Ajisai is happy to hear this, but it's not enough. Ajisai feels she's the one who started all of this. It's just not right for her to take anything away from Renako. Despite Renako just paying her share, it is still her money that's being used up because of Ajisai's decisions. What's more, this trip is by no means cheap for a high school girl. Hearing this, Renako tries to use the same logic they use when they go out as a group, splitting the bill evenly between themselves. Adding on to that, Renako even admits she'd probably just spend the money on something stupid like video games. This brilliant use of logic has Ajisai dejected, but she isn't backing down. What they're doing isn't like going out as a group at all. What she's doing right now is running away from home, and that's a bad thing. She's been a terrible sister, and she just forced Renako to go along with her. It's just not right to ask for her money as well. Hearing all this, Renako starts feeling upset. Everything Ajisai is saying, it's almost like she just wants to punish herself. Ajisai is just denying what Renako believes, and she wants to somehow turn that logic around. But how? Thinking about it, if they really were friends, Ajisai wouldn't be so adamant about not splitting the funds. Does this mean the two of them aren't friends yet? The thought makes Renako's mood crash even more. There's no way Renako can say something bourgeois like Mai. There's no way she can just accept Ajisai's goodwill like the stoic Satsuki. And there's especially no way she can avoid serious topics with comedic charm like Kaho, being the girl she is. She just can't do any of that. Steeling herself, she starts to think about what exactly she can do.
Maybe I shouldn't have come then.
That is something she for sure can't say. At the very least, she has to believe in that decision being the right one. Seeing how troubled she's feeling, Ajisai gives her apologies. But suddenly, Renako stands. Grabbing the self-deprecating girl by the shoulders, she declares she has a condition. Curious, Ajisai asks what it is.
We will use our bodies. Our bodies?
Ajisai is flustered to hear what's come out of Renako's mouth. Just what is going on inside this girl's head? Sending a message of love, Chibikaho seems to believe a lovely arc between her and Satsuki is right on the horizon. Is this true?
Watashi ga koibito ni nareru wakenai jan. Muri! Muri janakatta!
Did that leave you hanging? Check out our other works here, and don't forget to leave a like and subscribe.